Why don't you just explain a little bit about who you are, a little bit more? You kind of said, but go ahead.
Oh, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Fleischer. I'm the brand manager on our e-commerce team. And for the last 2 to 3 months, I've been leading all of our efforts in custom products. But there's a really big team behind it that we've been working with everyone here today. So really excited to highlight that work and what we've done. I think we were told at the beginning that this was absolutely impossible, but I don't believe any other team other than the team we worked with could have brought it to reality. So a huge thank you to everyone that did it, but really proud of the work we delivered together.
And Cindy Chen, for you who don't know this, all of the work that a lot of that I showed there, so whether it was Daily Twist, whether it was Twist, Lick, and Dunk, whether it was Transformers, whether it was 3D printed Oreo, whether it was the mobile app on Oreo, whether it was her leaving US after running the US Oreo business and transforming that business and going to China and reinventing, where I then went to China to follow her because I'm so inspired by her. I spent 180 days living in China, which is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, she speaks Chinese, I do not. Let me just tell you, I'm in taxis, like, go to this address. I don't even know what this means here. Good luck. And you never get to the same place no matter what. Anyway, whatever. And then she came back and reinvented gum innovation. And then when it was time for us to begin this e-commerce journey, the organization and I personally knew there was only one person who could help lead that. And I'm always inspired by Cindy Chen. And I'm so excited that you're on my team. Anyway, why don't you go and introduce yourself?
So
yes, a round of applause for Cindy Chen, ladies and gentlemen. It was her inspiration that made this happen and her ability to give Lauren the air cover. Sorry.
I'm going to cry now.
You should. I'm not up here for my
But you've
health.
already talked a lot about me, so I don't know what to talk about. But anyway, Cindy Chen, I lead global e-commerce. But as of Monday, I was just told by Bonin, I'm leading global e-commerce venture. So this Monday, when we launch Oreo customization, I'm going to lead a global e-commerce venture. So yeah, really, really excited to be here. I was thinking back in January, I remember my first meeting was at CES, right? So that was my first day. Lots of people here, probably you were there, right? Bonin texted me at 6 a.m. saying that 8 a.m., Cindy, you and me, we're gonna talk about e-commerce. And that was my first day on e-commerce. So I went to the stage and say, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know anything about e-commerce. As a matter of fact, I only have an Amazon Prime membership, but that's about it. However, 6 months later, I can come back and tell you about e-commerce, right? So that was a starting point. But now look at what we have accomplished. Truly, I'm just so amazed by the team, the small and mighty team, right? So January 7th, I don't know anything about e-commerce. January 21st, we went to our chief growth officer, and we talked about vision and strategy and roadmap. As a matter of fact, that was a date, January 21st, we said we will get to $1 billion, right? Although we just announced that 2 months ago, right? The small mighty team here, I just want to say that Arthur Savella, right, is here. Arthur, do you want to stand up? Arthur was, just such a great inspiration for me as well. We actually recruited him in January, and he came in without working on e-commerce. He chipped in. He was doing 2 jobs at the same time. He was leading gum, but he's also so instrumental helping us put together the vision, strategy, and roadmap. So thank you, Arthur. Then obviously, Lauren. So without these 2 people, we will never ever come to today and having this exciting launch. So I'm forever grateful to you guys.
I echo that. Arthur has been I've never seen somebody operate like Arthur has. He's a trooper on so many levels. We're very lucky to have you. Okay, we're gonna stop kissing our own asses now. Okay, no. So tell us a little bit about where the idea generated from, what the inspiration was.
Right, 2 things, right? So I used to work on Oreo, right, in the United States. I have, this love in my heart for Oreo forever, despite the fact I'm Chinese, by the way, but Oreo is the quintessential American brand. As a matter of fact, when I got this job, my boss told me, don't just screw it up, right? This is a big American iconic brand, seriously, right? Then I give them rainbow cookie. But in all seriousness, I would say that, we had a rainbow cookie, we had Dunk in the Dark, and then we had 3D, then we have Wonderfield, right? So we transformed Oreo from one cookie to be a social icon. So we need to continue to build that, right? So we cannot stop. That's why I think the first thing we thought about, how do we take e-commerce to next level? Oreo, #1 power brand, that's the way to go, right? So that's one. The second piece is, if you think about why consumers shopping online, one of the key drivers is about the variety assortment, right? So you can get something that you cannot get in the offline, right? And we know that consumers told us that 30% of consumers told us that they are interested in personalization, right? And as a result, we came up with this idea. Now, I would say that our personalization is, maybe I'm biased, so much better than a typical personalization in the market, because it's interactive, right? So as Lauren talked about earlier, I actually spent so much time covering my pack myself, right? I got a kick out of it, right? But also you can do that with your kid. I was talking to Dutch earlier, and 4-year-old son, and he did that with his son together. So it's a bonding time with your kid. You can do yourself, which is adult, color book trending, but you can also do with your family. So I am biased. I think this is the best personalization in the market at this moment.
I'm biased too, but I agree. Lauren, so can you tell us a little bit about the pieces that had to come together in order for this to happen, and how they came together in 2 months?
Yeah, sure. So Bonin's referring to 2 months. Essentially, our team worked September and October, and we launched it the first week of November. We really had an inkling, as you mentioned, as the team got started, but it wasn't until late August when we were tasked with really do this now. This isn't theoretical. Typically, a project like this, I called my friend Nancy in the room and called her, and I was like, just a gut check. How long would this take us? And Nancy was like, all right, I don't want to scare you, but I'm like, 2 years. We could do it. If we do it fast, we could do it in 2 years. And I was like, awesome. Let's do it in 2 months. So we really set out to create a team fast. We knew we'd worked with the Maya team on trending vending. They knew how to deliver Oreo customization. We recruited them. We knew the Martin agency delivers amazing creative on Oreo. We recruited them. Then we actually saw an article in Adweek in late August regarding a project that HP had done, and we got in touch with Doris at HP. She was in our office 3 days later, and we were making this happen on an HP printer. So really, really quickly. And then September is when we kind of went through the internal process of recruiting a team between packaging engineers, procurement professionals, manufacturing to make this happen. And we went into kind of our project approval meeting that happens monthly, and someone said to me, just get ready. And we walked in, and I've never been ripped to shreds in the way that I was ripped to shreds in that meeting. And someone helped me out of that meeting coin the term negative brainstorming. We can all sit around all day, and I can think of 4,000 reasons that this can't happen. We don't have enough time. We don't have a plant that can do this. We don't have a website. We don't have a box. So why do you think you can make every one bag profitable? And at the end of the day, it was someone named Matt Miller in the room who looked out at the crowd and basically said, you guys can continue to do this negative brainstorming all day, or you can just move aside and help her make this happen. And it was extremely instrumental, and we got to really handpick a team to say, these are the 7 people that are going to help us make this happen. These are the change makers, the doers. These are the people that are going to take the risks. And we all know the risks. We can list them left and right. But instead of just expressing them, we are going to find ways to reduce them. And so it was working with those 7 people. At the beginning of the project, there were probably 30 people. And finally, we're like, you know what? If you're not going to help us, you got to go. You got to go. We'll inform you later. So they all got CC'd on an email on Monday. Hey, we did it. Thanks. But really, it was about changing that mindset and bringing the positive brainstormers into the room who are willing to find solves rather than just identifying problems.
You said we don't have the factory to do it. So what'd you do?
We built a factory. We essentially turned a warehouse into a factory in 2 months, and it's really unbelievable. We've brought on 25 employees who we've been able to give jobs to for the holiday season, which is really, really incredible in the U.S. And we've kind of built it from the ground up. So we figured out what printing technology we needed. We went to HP. We figured out who has HP printers. We figured out here's where we're making the cookies. Where can we get the cookies and the printers nearby? So really very, very fast iteration. We spoke to one potential manufacturer. They had just leased a new warehouse on Monday, and by Wednesday, we had turned it into an Oreo factory.
So, Cindy, our e-commerce strategy is not just about Oreo, though. So tell us, what's the broader e-commerce strategy for us?
So first of all, I want to give this number, stick to your mind, it's $1 billion in the next 3 to 5 years' time. Well, there are 3 strategies, right, which is very, very simple. The first one, we call that sell more, right? Sell more is sell more of our existing product, which is, by doing fix the basics, focusing on the key customers, right? The second piece is that we call that sell different, right? So sell different is really trying to build the next generation of portfolio or platforms, right? So Oreo customization is one of the examples, right? So later this year, we're also going to launch Star Wars Trident Gum, right? The third piece is where I am really, really excited, and that's my new job, right? Which is sell differently, put the different LY underscore, right? Which is really looking into the alternative and disruptive business model, right? But also potentially involved in inorganic growth, right? So again, the 3 strategies are sell more of our existing product, sell different, build a next generation of portfolio, and sell differently is really thinking about what are the model out there. I want to add one more thing. Our products are very, very different from all the other P&G or Unilever or Kimberly-Clark products, right? So their products are diaper, paper tissue. You need to use that every day, although you just said that 1 billion people, they actually don't use toothpaste, right? But their products actually fit into e-commerce more so than us because we are a snacking company, right? By nature, it's more impulse, right? So impulse at 2 different levels, which is impulse purchase, but also instant consumption, right? So if you want a piece of chocolate, you don't want to wait for 10.3 days to get a piece of chocolate. So that's a difficult part, and we are trying to really figure out what is a model to help us address that, right?
One thing I would say that we also believe, we put media and e-commerce underneath one roof. This is the first time that's ever been done at an organization our size. And the reason why we did that is because we believe that there's a shortening of the path to purchase for consumers. And we believe that we can take them from seeing a message about our product to actually buying in a quicker period of time than we've ever been able to do before. And so we talked about it. Laura Henderson, who's not here today, coined a term, media meets commerce. So that future of every single engagement that you have should give you the opportunity. And it's interesting, a lot of people sit in the room and go, oh, that's direct response, that's not equity building. And our argument is, first of all, 10 years from now, we're going to all be sitting in this room going, that was the worst argument that we've ever had, because that's not true at all. But what's the single largest expression of equity and brand love is actually getting that brand. And so that's what we believe is part of the future of this next journey, kind of e-commerce. I want you to talk a little bit about, you always talk about, here's the 5 future trends that you believe. Tell us a little bit about where you see the future and what you believe you'll be able to build ventures around.
Well, so first and foremost, e-commerce is going to be really, really huge, right? So the number we have seen is by 2020, 3 to 10% revenue will come from e-commerce, products sold online, right? There are 5 trends. It's Cindy Chen's POV, right? So you can take it or leave it, right? So the first one is mobile commerce, right? Mobile commerce, as you know, that last year, 2014, was the first year where mobile actually taking over desktop, right? So the transaction coming from mobile is actually more so than the desktop. As a matter of fact, hot off the press, yesterday, Singles Day in China, Alibaba, they did more than $14 billion. $14 billion, that's huge. That's almost a half size of Mondelēz, one day, right? And last year, they did $9 billion. This year, they did $14 billion. And of that, 70% of the revenue is coming from mobile, right? It's mind-blowing, 70%. So that's the first trend, mobile commerce. The second one is social commerce, right? Social commerce, we are not surprised, right? Your friend's post has a huge impact in terms of your purchase decision. Last year alone, social commerce grew more than 200%, right? The third piece is what I call that personalization, CX. Now, when I talk about this is not personalized product. It's about a personalized experience on site. There's a clothing company, I don't want to name it, but I have been, bought so many clothes on this website, maybe way too much, right? However, even now when I sign in to this clothing website, they still don't recognize me, right? So they still show me so many girls' clothes. And knowing that I have an 8-year-old son, and they show me the girls' clothes, I said, well, my boy is not interested in girls' clothes, right? So the DMP, just data management platform, just so important to make sure that there's a personalized experience on the site. That's the third one. The fourth one is, I coined a term, it's called interface-free shopping, right? So a prime example is the Amazon Dash button. I think this is genius, right? So it's almost a remote control to Amazon warehouse, right? And the genius about this is also, you don't know how much money you spend because you press that button and then your product came to you, right? Last but not least, we all know this, right? It's about shared economy. It started with Airbnb, Uber, right? And as a matter of fact, this year we actually did a test with Uber in Washington, D.C. Instead of press the black car button, you can press a button. It's called everyday essential item, where you can have a Trident gum delivered to you under 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes, right? Before, even a week, you are happy, right? But now it's like, 2 hours, 1 hour, 10 minutes. It's amazing, right? So it's about mobile commerce, social commerce, personalization, CX, interface shopping, and shared economy. That's what I think are important for CPG, in particular snacking companies for e-commerce.
Thank you. So Lauren, it's been 5 months since you've been on the team? Something like that? What has it been like? What's the experience been like?
I think for me, it's been really exciting. I enjoy the idea of creating a new business rather than just marketing one. We can get messaging out all day, but the idea of actually all the way to working in the factory. I worked in the factory the last 2 days. That to me is very exciting, very hands-on, and knowing that we built this business from the ground up. We didn't just tell people about a really awesome new idea, we created it. And I think that's really what the idea of Fearless is about, to build new models, do what we need to do really, really fast in a way that's not afraid. So I think all of our team has been unafraid and willing to do what we need to do it fast, to deliver and learn. And each step of the way, we're learning something new. And I realize if you put the box together a certain way, you're going to rip open your hand. Or also, if we build our paid media spend in a certain way, it may not deliver. So we have to adapt fast. And so really being able to adapt quickly, but in a way that builds a physical business.
Well, first of all, so we get an email last night from Lauren. She's like, I'm not going to make it. I'm on the runway. There's torrential downpour in Milwaukee. She's at the factory. It's like, I'm not going to make it. And at like 6 a.m., I landed. I'm like, she probably literally built an airplane, a new airplane. Like, that's how she rolls. So has it been a learning curve? Not the airplane building.
No, that was probably the hardest part. Certainly. I'm a traditional marketer. I previously worked on our other businesses, Sour Patch Kids, Chips Ahoy cookies, and you really learn the fundamentals of building a business with an organization behind you. So if we want to launch a new flavor Sour Patch Kids, that's one tweak, and you think that is training to run a business. What I didn't think of is if you were running a startup, how would you get paid? We had to look into for this project, do we need to create a new bank account? Where does the money from this website go? And we launched it on Monday, midday Monday, I think we had an operational bank account. And so it's really...
We are collecting money, correct?
Correct.
Just want.
I was looking at Steve, I think I got a deposit email this morning. So for a traditional marketer, I think the learning can be very limited when you have a huge organization ready and willing to support you, and you worry about things, but you kind of assume certain things have it covered. What's the tax rate on this? I didn't know on Sour Patch Kids. Like, how do we pay taxes? Unclear. Someone does it. When you're building something totally new, it is like leveraging the power of a really large organization, but you have to act like a startup and figure out, how would I create a bank account? How would I be the administrator of this bank account? Who's gonna do the checks and balances to make sure I'm not stealing money from this bank account?
Are you stealing money? I'm getting really nervous here. Do we have a bank account? Are you? Yeah. Did the deposit email go to you directly?
It's Steve Spencer's name. But I think that, to me, is the learning curve that will really differentiate marketing talent moving forward. Because I always thought, like, I've been an entrepreneur in residence at Mondelēz and done our version of these small startup projects, and always said, oh, I'm gonna go work at a startup. And then you get there and realize, like, I have to do this all myself. There is no one that can do it for me, and that is, I think, gonna differentiate marketers. If you can operate in this big political organization, that's an amazing skill, and if you can operate totally isolated on your own and hide it from people, like, no, but I'm saying hide the details.
Again, I'm really nervous here.
Hide yourself from the negative brainstormers. You know, if you can do the kind of the politics and the isolation at the same time, that I think will be the new version of marketing talent.
I think it's well put. I think isolation, being able to allow a small team to really have the freedom to operate without having to report back every single time. I mean, PowerPoint decks are the death of, you know, a lot of good ideas. I'm sure our agencies will agree on the next panel that some of the best ideas in the world are just living in PowerPoints. So that's why I quit. I was like, clients are too stupid to buy good ideas, so I became a dumb client. Anyway, so we're gonna have to wrap up to make sure that we have the rest, but Cindy, just tell us why. So I compared it to our moonshot, right? Which is, I think, a little over the top. But anyway, why is custom so important for us, and where do you see kind of the future of custom truly going?
Well, customization is only the first step, right? So, you know, early on I talked about the 30% of consumers are interested in customization. So for us, it's only the first step. But the future, the 5 trends I already talked about, I don't think I need to elaborate. But ultimately, you know, to me, the most important thing to work in this team is really, you talked about how can we isolate the team, right? So, you know, with your air cover, right? So no matter how ambitious we are, without you know, really a small team isolate ourselves to do the stuff we want to do, this could never happen. I think that the future for us to be successful is that we need to continue that fearless approach. You know, we can come back later on and talk about Bonin, how Bonin helped to create the environment. But to me, that is the one thing I learned, that once I grown up and become Bonin's level, I want to do the same thing, is really create this environment for the team to be fearless.
Lauren, last point, single biggest learning that you had from this, go.
I would say trust your team, and if you're willing to work with them and work together, and you are truly creating an environment of positive brainstorming, the team can do anything. I would also love our team to stand up really quickly. So,
yes, please. Let's have the whole team stand up really quick.
Internally and externally.
Yeah, internal and external, go ahead. All right, you're gonna meet a bunch of them. Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a huge round of applause to Cindy Chen and Art Khaleesi, Lauren Fleischer. Thank you.